good now. My name is Robin. Maybe some of you have come to my class before. We're going to talk about and practice meditation. Is anyone new to meditation? Anyone new to Zen meditation? Okay. All right, so I'll explain about Zen meditation. Before I do that, I also want to welcome anyone who's joining us online. And there's a chat box on your screen. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in there, and I'll do my best to address them. So before we start talking about Zen meditation before I start teaching you the process, I'm going to read a little bit from this book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. I usually try to share a little bit of Zen wisdom with you when I know that I'm going to be leading. So this book was written, it's a compilation of talks by a famous Zen master whose name was Suzuki. And some of you maybe are familiar with that. So as I was looking through this book, I thought, why not talk about Zen mind and beginner's mind? What are those two things? So it says in here, Zen mind is one of those enigmatic phrases used by Zen teachers to make you notice yourself, to go beyond the words and wonder what your own mind and intelligence and being are. This is the purpose of all Zen teaching, to make you wonder and to answer that wondering with the deepest expression of your own nature. The practice of Zen mind is beginner's mind. The innocence of the first inquiry, what am I, is needed throughout Zen practice. The mind of the beginner is always empty, free of the habits of the expert, ready to accept, to doubt, and open to all the possibilities. It is this kind of mind which we can see things as they are. And then, of course, the challenge is how to maintain this attitude through your meditation and in your life. So, for example, you've probably heard, if you've come here before, talk about how we make assumptions. We think we know something, and maybe we don't know anything. So, for example, as I was driving here, I was thinking, many times when I come here, I think, oh, it's going to be cold. I probably better bring extra socks. And I have this whole story. But I thought I can be in my Zen mind or my beginner's mind and just have no idea how it's going to be and just be with it as it is. So that's an example of how we could do that. Also, with Zen mind, particularly, because what we're doing when we're meditating, not just Zen meditation, but for the purposes of tonight, I'll talk about Zen meditation. What are we focusing on? We're focusing on what's happening now. So, for example, when we start meditating, I'll give you some instructions at the beginning about the procedure to follow, and then I won't give you anything else. You're going to be on your own to remember, what am I supposed to be doing? Oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and this, right? So you kind of do that. So one thing that I find useful to practice with in my life is when you're doing something, just do that. So when I try to recommend to people, when you're driving, just drive. Now you can, mostly anytime have the radio on, be singing and all that, but once in a while, turn off the radio and just be present with your driving. So I did that tonight. I didn't have the radio on, and I was trying to be totally present in my driving. So I was feeling the sensation of the steering wheel in my hands. I was seeing the color of the lights as they were changing. I was hearing the sound of the directional. I was being totally present with what I was doing. Has anybody ever had the experience of driving somewhere and getting there and having no memory of how they got there? We all do that because our minds are so busy and so active. So many times we're not really fully present in our life. There's just this constant story of thinking, evaluating, judging, thinking about other stuff, and we're not present. Another thing to sometimes practice, and people really don't want to do this often, is try having a meal in silence with no distractions. Let's say you're by yourself and you're having breakfast by yourself. Don't turn on the TV. Don't get on your phone. Don't get on your laptop. Just be with the experience of eating and just notice with your eyes what the food, how it looks. Notice the scent of it. Feel the texture of it. Notice the sensation of swallowing. When you notice you're thinking about stuff like, oh, this is stupid, why am I even doing this? Then come back to the focus of your meditation. So that's always the thing with meditation, no matter how we do it, when we do it. You can have a brief moment of meditation while you're in the shower. You can just decide, okay, I'm just going to be present with this experience, because that's what meditation really is, present moment experience. So you get into the shower, you feel the sensation of your hand turning the handle to adjust the temperature. You feel the water, you hear the sound, you feel how it is on your body, you feel and are totally present with your shower. So it's just something for you to practice when you're not coming here and meditating. It's just being present in your life, because we miss a lot. We can take a walk, and really we're just taking our thoughts for a walk. Some of you may have heard me say that before. And maybe you have something you have to work on. That may be true. Or maybe you just take the walk and just feel the sensation of your feet on the ground, and feel the breeze and hear the birds, and just be present in all of that. So some things to think about. Before I forget, I want, in case I'm not going to be leading this before the first Saturday of the month, if you guys like this type of meditation, and a lot of people, I won't say a lot, some people don't, because there's no one guiding you through it. I'm not going to be reminding you, where's your mind, follow your breath. I'll give you directions at the beginning, and then we're going to do a silent stillness practice, where I'm going to ask you to commit to a posture, be as still as you can, and then follow a particular procedure. If you like the silent stillness practice, you can get that here in the mornings at 8 o'clock. There's 2 sittings, they're 25 minutes each, and the same thing at noon. And then also the first Saturday of the month, they call it a half day of silence. It's 4 hours. It's not 4 hours in a row of meditating, because that would be a lot, let's face it. But it's that many opportunities for you to practice in stillness and silence. My experience with meditation, and some of you who have meditated a while like I have, will agree that the second meditation is usually more still and quiet than the first one, because your mind has already had a chance to settle down and knows what to expect. So if you ever want to try that sometime, and no one's going to rope you to the chair. If you can't stand it and you're only there an hour and you need to go, you just go. But I invite you to challenge yourself sometime, to just see, well, what is this like? Maybe I could do this. And you'll find with any type of meditation that it'll change your life. You'll be more present and aware of what's going on in your life. Okay. Questions or comments before I start giving instructions of how we're going to sit? Okay. If anybody has a cell phone on, please put it to silent. But if somebody's phone rings, it's just another sound that we're just noticing. Okay. So like I mentioned, silence and stillness. After I finish talking, I'll ring the bell 3 times to start the meditation. I'll ring it twice to end it. In between that, I'm not going to say anything. What I'm going to suggest that you do is find a posture that you can commit to for 20 minutes. That's roughly how long we're going to sit for. So if you're sitting in a chair, sit up straight. If you'd like a pillow behind your back, do that. If you're sitting on a cushion and you're like, I don't know if I can do this for 20 minutes, and you want to chicken out now, now's a good time. Okay. So you want to find a posture. And why do we care about stillness? Does anybody know, like, why we don't recommend that you be wiggling around and scratching your nose? And what do you think? Why do we care about this? Besides, it's just a Zen rule. A still body can lead to a still mind. So let's say you have an experience, you're sitting here and your nose starts to itch. And you're like, oh my God, I want to scratch my nose. She said I can't scratch my nose. What would happen to you if you didn't scratch your nose? You would have the experience, you could focus on it, you could notice it, you can notice what it feels like, and you will notice that it will go away, whether you scratch it or not. So it's just another experience to have, okay? Now, of course, if you have back pain or you have something that really means that you just need to adjust your posture, go ahead and do that. But a lot of times, people are just wiggling around because that's what they're used to. And people are not used to sitting in stillness and silence. People start getting a little agitated. They're like, I don't think I can do this, Just notice what comes up for you, okay? So however you decide to sit, if you're sitting in a chair, the recommendation is have both feet flat on the chair. If you have anything in your lap, put it aside so you don't have any distractions, okay? So you're gonna pick your posture. So you're going to sit erect. The position of the eyes, what they teach in Zen is your eyes are slightly open. Why do we say slightly open rather than all the way open or all the way closed? All the way closed can lead to sleepiness and drowsiness and dreaminess. So if you're used to meditating with your eyes closed and you want to do that, go ahead and do that. But if you notice that you're dozing off or you're getting into some dreamlike state, just open your eyes a little bit. We say open them a little bit because we want you to be in your experience. So if your eyes are cast down, like mine are right now, I'm not looking at you, but I can see my periphery and I'm in my experience. So that's just a suggestion, okay? So we have posture, we have eyes. What do you want to do with your hands? Whatever you like, but just commit to it. So if you want to have your hands on your lap, have your hands on your lap. If some people like to do what's called the cosmic mudra, which is your hands are like this and your thumbs are making a circle, just something else to focus on instead of all the thoughts that are coming. So we're giving ourselves a few focuses, okay? So what do we do in the meditation? We want to remember that we're meditating. It's really easy to lapse off into daydreaming. Again, I'm not going to remind you. I'm not going to say, where's your mind? Come back to your breath. But do that for yourself. So here's a suggestion. Feel the sensation of breath. Okay, so would everybody put your hands on the top of your chest and take a deep breath. Feel that sensation. And tap into that while you're meditating. Sensation of breath. Just that sensation, okay? If that doesn't work for you, and some people like to actually hold their hands on the chest, that's fine. Some people like to say to themselves, breath in, breath out, whatever works. So people count their breaths. There's many different ways to meditate and many different methods, okay? So you've got your posture, your eyes, your hands, you've got your breaths. So let's say you're focusing on breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Does anybody here think they're not going to have any thoughts? You will have thoughts, okay? So when you notice the thought, just notice it and let it pass by. Some people will say to themselves, thinking, and then come back to the breath. Okay, so that's another technique. But just remember, for this time, and you may have some great thoughts that you want to explore and you want to solve the world's problems, do that later. But for now, what we're here to do is to meditate and just try to keep your focus on that. It's quite a discipline, okay? Another thing that you can do that some people find really helpful that I like, we have the windows closed, so we're not going to hear that much. But you can listen to sounds. Let's just listen to in the quiet now and see if we hear anything. So you heard some sound, right? So that's another thing that you can use, because is that sound happening? It is happening. So breathing is happening, sound is happening. And then the other thing, if you would like to, some people like to feel a bodily sensation. So let's say you meditate with your hands on your lap. You can also notice the sensation of your hands in your lap. So you've got three possibilities of things that you can focus on instead of the relentlessly spinning mind, which is what we're mostly paying attention to. Okay? Questions? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. I'll ring the bell, as I mentioned, 3 times to start, 2 times to end. And then I'm going to ask you if anybody would be willing to share what their experience was. What was it like for you? How was that? Okay? All right. If you have any last wiggles, now would be a good time to get them out. Okay. Now would be a good time to stretch a little bit if you feel like you'd like to. And I really encourage you and invite you to share your experiences, because if you're having one, someone else might be having the same one, and there's no wrong way to feel about this. So, who felt like it was hard to hold still? Everybody did pretty well with that. Anybody have an itch that they didn't scratch? Yeah. How was that for you?
It just traveled.
It just traveled. Yeah. It's interesting to watch it when you don't normally do that. Like, oh, look at that, right? Okay. Who found it hard to stay awake? I noticed a few head noddings. Okay. It's warm in here, isn't it? And it's quiet. There's no distractions. No one's saying a word. So what do we normally do in a situation like that? We go to sleep, right? It's just normal. And even if you're sitting straight on a meditation cushion, you know, where most of us are sitting on chairs, you could easily be nodding off, because that's what our minds are used to doing. If there's not a whole bunch of thinking going on and it's quiet and it's warm, it's a good time for a nap. Maybe not a conscious thought. So did anyone notice that they were getting drowsy and think, oh, I better open my eyes? Did you try that? Yeah. How did that work for you? How about you?
I started to get drowsy.
Yeah. Did you open your eyes then?
I gave in to being hot. I wanted to.
Yeah.
But then I
Yeah, you're like, oh, I can't move.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna stay awake. Oh my God, right? Yeah. Can bring up a lot of stuff. Who else was with closed eyes and found they were drowsy? Yeah, go ahead.
I only opened and closed mine several times because I would like open them and then I'd be okay, and then they would like start to close almost involuntarily, and then I would try it again.
Right, right.
And then at some point I just was like trying to just take a deeper breath to kind of like oxygenate myself.
Good for you.
Like maybe that'll wake me up.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And the lady next to you had a comment too. Yeah.
I had my eyes open, which I've never done before, and it made me very uncomfortable.
You felt uncomfortable
Yes,
with your eyes
I'm
open?
committed to this. I'm just doing it for 20 minutes.
Oh,
It felt
interesting.
like ironically made me sleepier.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've meditated with eyes open for a long time, and I can remember the experience of looking at a hardwood floor, and after a while, the pattern can feel like it's moving, because your mind is playing tricks on you. Your mind just wants attention, so it'll create things for you. So all of this is normal, and I think you had a comment too. You were feeling drowsy.
Feeling that was nothing off. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
you weren't the
feel
only
too
one.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt really, it went by really fast, and it felt
Did it go by fast?
fancy.
Okay. Did anybody think this was like the longest 20 minutes of their life and they just wanted to run out screaming? It's okay if you did. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. But all of these things are normal. For beginning meditators, for seasoned meditators, we're gonna experience what we're gonna experience, okay? And another thing about meditation is if you can maintain the discipline on focusing on, let's just say 3 things: the breath, the sounds, and maybe your hands in your lap. Just keep doing those 3 things. It's kind of like you're giving your mind a vacation, because your mind is constantly at work. It's thinking, it's analyzing, it's judging, it's planning, it's doing all that. So for that 20 minutes, depending on how you did, your mind had a bit of a vacation. And even if you felt like you didn't do it very well, you're constantly distracted, that's normal too, okay? We're gonna always have meditations that are, quote, better than others, but we don't want to really judge the meditation. A meditation is a meditation. You made a commitment to yourself. For these 20 minutes, I'm going to do my best to meditate. And you could have, and I don't know if anyone did, and I'm not asking you to fess up, you could have just sat here and daydreamed the whole time and thought, this is stupid, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do anything she says, I'm just going to plan tomorrow. No one's going to know, okay? But you will know. Okay, so again, meditation is a way of training your mind to be in what we call present moment awareness. Because if you notice, like even when we stopped and we're listening to the sound, listen to this again. You don't normally notice that sound, do you? Because there's always other sounds and there's people talking and you're thinking. But when you give yourself a chance to just listen, to just hear, as opposed to listen. Sometimes when we hear a sound, we want to like, oh, what is that? Who's making that noise? Why are they making that noise? And the whole story unfolds. But if it's just like the mellow sound of a heater, of course that can help to lull you to sleep because it is warm in here. But we're just focusing on just a few things, okay? All right, so let's try that again. You may or may not find that the second time is easier. Some people find that it's easier because you're kind of in the groove now, and other people are just like, I'm agitated, I'm still agitated, I'm more agitated. It's all good, it's your experience. But again, just try to commit yourself for these next, probably 15 minutes, like you always give you a break on the second one. Then to just meditate. I'm not gonna daydream. When I notice I'm having thoughts, I'm gonna come back to my breath, come back to the sounds, come back to the hand position, and just for these moments, be present in your life, okay? All right. All right, so we still have a few minutes left. What was that like for you? Would you like to share perhaps how this one second meditation compared to the first one? More drowsy, less drowsy, your mind was more focused, less focused. Did you notice any difference at all? Yes,
I did better.
you did better. Is it better in that you weren't so drowsy, or you were more
I was
focused?
more present.
More focused, yeah. Sometimes it goes that way. Sometimes the second meditation learns from the first one. Sometimes if you're already feeling agitated, you're just gonna feel more agitated and just be waiting for it to be over. There's no telling how it's gonna go. Did anybody try anything different with their eyes or following their breath or try anything different? And if you do, or if you don't, I invite you to try. Like just say, well, next time I'm gonna try just my breath or just sound or just whatever and see what works for you. It's all good and it's all right, okay? Again, if you like the silent stillness, and some people like it and some don't, we have it in the mornings, we have it at noon, and most Mondays. If you prefer a little bit more guidance, you can always get that on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So whatever you like, meditation, as I said, will change your life, and you'll find that out the more that you do it. So before I have Vicki give some announcements to us, I'm going to just mention a couple of suggestions that you might want to just try, peppering your day with some moments of mindfulness. So you could try, like I mentioned, if you're taking a shower, just say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to be present with this experience. I'm going to feel the water. I'm going to hear the sounds. I'm going to do whatever. If you're able to do a silent meal, I'm going to just be with this. I'm going to experience this food. Even when you go out to get your shoes off the shoe rack, notice, see them with your eyes, feel them with your hands as you take them off the rack. Feel yourself place them, feel yourself put your feet in them, and notice yourself walking. Just moments of awareness so that to be more present in your life. So I invite you to try any of those, or if you think I'm crazy and don't want to do any, that's fine too. It's just an invitation. Okay, I want to thank you all for sharing your practice with me and with all of us. And Vicki, our host, is in the back there, and she's got a few announcements before we all go.
Hello, I'm Vicki, I'm tonight's host. We opened the door of Lone Temple 17 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sauna that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and we have our food redistribution programs every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The schedule is on our website and posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then bring it back whenever you are finished with it. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. And we hope to see you again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all, and again, thank you for participating. Appreciate it. Hope to see you again. And if somebody could be kind enough to help me get this chair off of this platform onto the floor, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.